Okay. Thank you.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম রহমতুল্লাহি বারাকাতুহু। সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি বাংলাদেশ হোমিওপ্যাথিক পরিষদের সাপ্তাহিক অনলাইন ভিত্তিক উচ্চতর প্রশিক্ষণ ক্লাসে। প্রিয় উপস্থিতি, আপনারা জানেন আমরা প্রতি বুধবার আমাদের বাংলাদেশ হোমিওপ্যাথিক পরিষদের পক্ষ থেকে এই অনলাইন ভিত্তিক উচ্চতর প্রশিক্ষণ ক্লাসটি পরিচালনা করছি। আমরা বিষয়ভিত্তিক আলোচনায় প্রতি সপ্তাহে প্রথমে ইংরেজি ভাষণের আলোচনাটা করার চেষ্টা করি এবং পরবর্তীতে সেটাই আবার বাংলা ভাষায় আপনাদের সামনে উপস্থাপনের চেষ্টা চলছে। নিয়মিতভাবে আলোচনা করছেন বাংলাদেশ হোমিওপ্যাথিক পরিষদের সম্মানিত সভাপতি ডক্টর শেখ ফারুক ইলাহি স্যার। আমরা আজকে আলোচনার জন্য যে বিষয়টি নির্ধারণ করেছি তা হচ্ছে হ্যানিম্যান নির্দেশিত রোগী লিপি প্রণয়ন এবং ঔষধ নির্বাচন, যেটাকে আমরা ইংলিশে বলছি হ্যানিম্যানস কেস টেকিং অ্যান্ড রেমেডি সিলেকশন। আলোচনার সূচনায় আমরা বাংলাতেই ক্লাসটির ইন্ট্রোডাকশনটা দিচ্ছি এবং আলোচনার শেষে কেউ যদি ইচ্ছা করেন আপনি বাংলাতেই আপনার প্রশ্ন করতে পারেন বা মন্তব্য করতে পারেন, কিন্তু আলোচনাটি পরিচালনা করবেন ইংরেজিতে। আর কেউ যদি চান যে না আমরা প্রশ্ন বা মন্তব্য ইংলিশে করব, সেটাও আপনি করতে পারেন। তো আলোচনায় আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আমাদের প্রিয় শিক্ষক বাংলাদেশ হোমিওপ্যাথিক পরিষদের সম্মানিত সভাপতি ডক্টর শেখ ফারুক ইলাহি স্যারকে। স্যার, প্লিজ কন্টিনিউ ইউর ক্লাস। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, Dr. Anwar Patwari, for your introduction. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. Adab. Good evening. Today we are going to start a series of lectures on Hahnemann's case taking. It means case taking according to the directions of Hahnemann. And afterwards, we'll add one section of remedy selection. So, case taking is very fundamental to any system of medicine. In allopathic system of medicine, they have case taking, elaborate case taking, but of course, it is not so elaborate as in homeopathy. But they have their own principles and styles. And in homeopathy, of course, there is rules and regulations and principles laid down by Hahnemann himself in his organon, especially in aphorism from 82 to 104. And of course, in other systems of medicine like Ayurveda, Unani, acupuncture, also they have their own way of case taking. Particularly in acupuncture, they emphasize some parts of examination and symptoms, particularly of tongue and pulse. But in homeopathy, we have our own system which we are going to describe. Okay, so first, let us see a case by homeopathic aphorism 83 to 104. Hahnemann specifically directed how to take a case by a homeopath. So just we follow what he said. First of all, he described what should be the character of a case taker. The case taking physicians should discuss. So Hahnemann said of the recording the disease picture. So these should be the qualities or characters of a case taker. He should be impartial. He should judge all the symptoms, all the problems of the patients impartially. What is taken of symptoms and signs, he will consider only this thing. No conjecture, no supposition. And he should have sound sense. Why sound sense? Because he will have to understand the depth and character of the symptoms what patient is saying. He must understand the actual sense of symptoms. And he should have attentive observation. He should be very much attentive to the case, observe what patient is saying, what is the gesture of the patient. And he should be faithful in recording this patient. What he finds in his attendance and what he finds in examining the patient, only this thing he should record. Pure symptoms and signs. Or in homeopathic sense, we'll say pure subjective and objective symptoms. No conjecture, no explanation. So this should be the character of a case taker. Now, what is his duty? Means what the duty of this case taker or the homeopath. Hahnemann says he will listen and writes. He will listen to the patient very attentively. Then he will write what he learned from the patient. And in this thing, Hahnemann says, patient tells the history of complaints. Relatives describe his complaints, his behavior, and everything they have noticed about him. So, you see, there are two parties in giving the history. One is patient himself. He will say of his complaints. He will describe of his complaints. And his relatives or attendants who are helping the patient or attending the patient, because they will see some signs and symptoms what patient himself does not know. What he does when he is in delirium, what he does when he is in sleep. But this thing patient cannot say. He has snoring, he laughs, he talks during sleep. This thing patient cannot say. So this should be observed by his attendants. So homeopath or the physician will take the history from the patient and as well as from his attendants. And then he will see, hears and observes with other senses what is altered and peculiar in the patient. You see, he will take the complaints, then Hahnemann says he will see, of course, by his eyes. He will hear. Patient may have some sounds. Patient may have some noise. And he will observe. You see, sees and observes. There is some difference of the sense. Observation is bears more sense than sees. With other senses, what is altered and peculiar. So he will, from the complaint, he will try to find out what is the alteration. Because patient was in health before, now he is ill. So what has been altered in his health? And what is the peculiarity in this alteration? And then he will write everything very exactly, particularly the verbatim expression of the patient relatives. It means he will write exactly what the patient said. He will not explain and put his explanation here. No. What patient said, he will write this thing only. But there should be one clarification. Say, for example, say if the patient is a Bangladeshi patient, and if I take the history from him, of course he will describe his complaint in Bengali, and I will write his verbatim, of course. But sometimes it happens that you see patient of other languages. Say if I see an English patient, if I see one Urdu speaking or Hindi speaking patient, or even a Chinese patient, I saw so many Chinese patients before, they will speak in their own language. He will speak in Chinese, he will speak in English, he will speak in Hindi or Urdu. So in that case, Should you write the verbatim of the patient? Sometimes you cannot, because you may not have so much control on his language. So in that case, you try to translate, but that should be as near as the what patient said. You understand? I think so. Here, what Hahnemann said, but verbatim expression of the patient. Sometimes we cannot do it if patient speaks in another language which I know less only. Maybe I know Chinese, but I cannot write it. So what to do? So what I understood from the patient, that I will translate exactly as possible. Okay. Then Hahnemann said one thing very important. What actually we homeopath, sometimes we don't do it. Sometimes we speak more than the patient. No. Patient should speak more and more, and I should be listening and listening. Only talking less. This is very important. So Hahnemann says the physician remains silent. Silent at least up to the patient finish his story, and the relatives finish their description, and he should not interrupt them. But he may interrupt if he finds the patient is saying something else, or he is explaining in other way, and he is going away from the main story. Then he can divert him to the main point. This he can do. Otherwise, he should not interrupt when patient is giving the story, giving the history. So you see here, we'll describe more. I want to comment here that there are so many books on case taking and symptom evaluation. So many books how to take a case in homeopathy. But in my observation, or if I comment, I will say that what Hahnemann described case taking in Organon from aphorism 83 to 104, this is the best. None exceeded Hahnemann in giving good description of case taking. So what Hahnemann said here in Organon, we should understand it well and we should